On behalf of the Esco group, I would like to welcome all of you to today's webinar. My name is Randy Peete. I'm the Vice President of Program Development, and I will narrate the first few slides. Then Earl DeLatte, our Resource Development Coordinator, will present the remainder of the presentation. Before we get started, we want to inform you of our webinar format. We want to be respectful of everyone's time, so we'll end our webinar presentation after 1 hour. All attendees will be muted throughout the presentation. You may submit questions through the question tool on your control panel or by sending a message through the chat feature. At the end, when time allows, we will answer as many questions as possible. If we're unable to get to your question, we will follow up with you by email. This webinar also will be recorded, and the recording will be made available in the Proctor login area of the Esco Group website, which is www.escogroup.org. Future webinars are as follows. The core will be covered by Jason Obrick and Renee Tomlinson on July 10th. Type 1 will be covered by Lynn Palmer and myself on July 17th. Type 2 will be covered by Eugene Silverstein and myself on July 24th. And Type 3 will be covered by Earl DeLatte and myself on July 31st. Remember, all of these times are in the central time zone, and also you must sign up for each individual webinar. This is the first part of the 5-part series we put together covering the EPA 608 prep manual and PowerPoint. We broke it down into 5 presentations for a few reasons. First, we want to answer a lot of questions we received from proctors since the rules have changed. Second, we will address some of the items that were changed with the updated EPA ruling. Third, we want proctors to understand their role as a proctor. Fourth, we will cover the introduction, federal regulations for administering the 608 exam, and an overview of the EPA exam format. The first few slides may be considered sort of the do's and don'ts for a proctor. For example, signing up to be a proctor only gives the registered proctor permission to administer the exam. It does not allow others at the testing location to legally give the exams. The registered proctor must be present and in control of what goes on during the entire time of testing. He should be the only one handling the exams themselves. Another person can help monitor the examination to prevent unwanted things from happening, such as cheating, but they are not allowed to administer the exam. There can be serious consequences for those not following the EPA guidelines. These are not just our guidelines, they're EPA's. In the past, we've had to revoke proctorships and void certifications of the people they tested for breaking the EPA rules. One thing people don't realize is that these rules are really laws that were passed by Congress. Some of our PowerPoints for the 608 material and other presentations we offer have speaker notes attached to them. And we have some proctors don't realize this because of the way their PowerPoint program opens up. The window must be sized to show the notes, or the presenter's view must be used. If you don't see the section of notes, you move the mouse pointer down slowly until the single arrow changes into a double arrow allowing the window to be dragged and resized. On the screen, you can see the arrow that I put showing a double arrow. And this is, you hold the mouse button down and adjust the size of your window by sliding up and down. There are also 3 background colors under the Office option menu that can be selected to be able to see the text better when you're using this view. If you're using a recent version of the PowerPoint, it will have the Presenter's View option when you select Slide Show. There must be a check mark in the box next to the Presenter's View to select it. In this view, you can see the current slide, the next slide that's coming up, and also speaker notes and a few tools that can be used during the presentation. This view can be used where it shows the main slide on the projector, and then you can see this screen on your laptop. The current slide on the right side, the current slide on the left side can be sized larger or smaller, and then the next slide can be sized and the notes can be sized. Where I have the red double arrows, all you do is click in that section and hold your mouse button down and adjust the size to get to what you like to use. If you've never used this view, I suggest you try it. It's really good for doing a presentation, especially if you have a tablet that you can project from to a projector. Now I'm going to turn the rest of the presentation over to my colleague Earl Delat.
Good morning, everyone. The manual and PowerPoint produced by Esco is intended to prepare technicians for the Environmental Protection Agency EPA Section 608 certification exam and contains the information required to successfully complete the exam. One important note, when you see red text in the 608 PowerPoint, this denotes test question or point of emphasis. All PowerPoints have speaker notes in reference to a specific page in the manual. The PowerPoint follows the manual precisely, therefore students should not get lost when viewing. This EPA prep manual in PowerPoint should only serve as a guide for reviewing materials related to Section 608 of the Clean Air Act, and it is not a formal refrigeration training course. Technicians or students preparing for this exam should be familiar with the basic vapor compression refrigeration cycle, as well as common service principles, practices, and procedures. The intent of this manual was never to take the place of an instructor. This manual should not be used as a self-study for people who are new to the field with no formal training in basic theory of the compression cycle. This manual has been developed with the most current information available at the time of publication. Should EPA regulations change after a technician becomes certified, it is the responsibility of that technician to comply with these changes. EPA also reserves the right to modify test questions and/or require new certification or recertification based on advancements in technology. The Esco Institute will update this manual as necessary to reflect current EPA regulations and testing requirements. Section 608 of the Clean Air Act requires all persons who maintain, service, repair, or dispose of appliances containing regulated refrigerants be certified in proper refrigerant handling techniques, as well as required by National Recycle and Emission Reduction Program. Helpers are allowed to run thermostat wire, ductwork, drains. They should never be allowed to work on anything that may compromise the refrigerant circuit, such as hooking up gauges, adding or removing refrigerant, and they are not allowed to solder or braze refrigerant lines. Regulated refrigerants currently include CFC, HCFCs, HFCs, and HFO refrigerants. No part of Section 608 exams may be reproduced, stored in a retrievable system. This includes posting exam questions to online sites such as Quizlet as practice questions. I can't think of a faster way to have your proctorship revoked. All sections of the exam are closed book and must be monitored by an Esco approved proctor. You should never allow someone else to use your proctor number to administer the test. Not following EPA federal laws, testing guidelines can result in the loss of proctorship, fines, and withdrawing of certifications of all those tested under that proctor. Why would anybody want to put themselves in a situation that can bring criminal and civil actions against them? While every precaution has been taken in the preparation of this book, the authors and publishers assume no responsibilities for errors or omissions. Even though rules and regulations may change, Esco cannot make any changes to the manual unless approved by EPA. Federal regulations. Proctors must provide exam candidates the following information by paper or electronic communication: name of the EPA approved testing organization, such as Esco Institute, contact information for the approved testing organization, the name and contact information for the proctor giving the exam, and how long before they should expect to receive the exam results or certification card for sections passed. To assist proctors in providing this information, the exam participants from the previous slide, Esco has developed a 608 exam candidate handout for our proctors to utilize. The handout is available in two formats: a full-page handout or a 4-page handout. Registered proctors can find this document at the online Proctor Resource Center. When testing online, the results for each exam section is displayed when selecting the option Score the Exam. Proctors, make sure you explain in detail that selecting the option Score the Exam, once this is activated, the exam is over. Be certain that the candidates understand that the core and whatever type certification they are taking is completed. Exam candidates are not allowed to have a cellular phone or any other electronic device in the testing area, whether it be tablets, earbuds, Bluetooth devices, whatever. This should never be allowed to be brought into the test site. Proctors are required to verify the identity of all individuals taking the test, even if you know the person, by examining an acceptable form of identification, which may include a driver's license, government ID, student ID, passport, or military IDs. Upon completion of a test, proctors must collect all test materials, including test booklets, if applicable, answer sheets, scratch paper, PT charts, and any notes made by the exam candidate. Do not allow someone to walk out with notes that can be used in future tests. This may not seem like a big deal, but many questions can be written down and passed on or used as future reference if they fail. You as proctors must prevent this from happening. I'm sure 99% of you are already doing this, But for the 1% that may be ignoring reality, be careful. It's not worth losing your proctorship. As the certifying program, Esco is required to inform candidates of their test results no later than 30 days from the date of the test. Please ensure, as the proctor and paper exams are mailed to Esco for processing within 1 business day of the test date. I'm not sure why proctors wait for days or even weeks before mailing the exam back to Esco. Esco will process all exams received for grading within 24 hours of receipt. Proctors may not receive any benefit whatsoever from the outcome of testing other than a fee for proctoring. Proctors cannot know in advance which questions are on the test they are proctoring. Proctors must post the EPA. Let me start over on that. Proctors must post the Esco EPA approved letter when testing. This can be found at the website for proctors. If you maintain, service, or repair or dispose of an appliance containing a regulated refrigerant, you must be certified. This means you cannot work under another person's certification. I want to repeat, a helper is allowed to run thermostat wire, ductwork, or drains. They should never be allowed to work on anything that may compromise the refrigerant circuit, such as hooking up gauges, adding or removing refrigerant, sorting and brazing refrigerant lines. Proctors, make sure this point is very clear. Way too many businesses think this practice is okay. People caught will be fined and certifications revoked. In addition to the preparatory manual, practice questions are available to help prepare for EPA Section 608 exam. Again, beware of using sites such as Quizlet. It's important to tell students or technicians some of these answers are wrong, and that alone can cause them to fail. You can access the practice questions free of charge on the Esco website at www.escogroup.org/practice. If your examination was administered through an Esco approved testing location, you will be able to log in to the Esco website at www.escogroup.org to access your examination results, order replacement certification cards, update your information such as address, or opt out of public certification registry. You may also contact our customer service team Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time at 1-800-726-9696 if you have any questions related to your certification. As stated before, please remind candidates to allow 5 to 7 business days for examinations to be received at our grading center for processing. Online versions, you will receive your results instantly, but the certification card will take 5 to 7 days for processing and mailing. Overview of the examination. The core covers fundamental information of the Clean Air Act and is required for one of the 4 levels of certification. Failure to pass the core means no level of certification will be issued, no matter the score on type 1, 2, or 3. You can see that we have outlined what's in the core section. This is available for you to read at any time you wish. It's also in the book. Type 1, persons who maintain, service, repair, or dispose of small appliances must be certified as Type 1 technicians. A small appliance is defined as pre-assembled unit, hermetically sealed, factory charged, with 5 pounds or less of refrigerant. Examples include equipment such as water coolers, small window units, refrigerators, freezers, dehumidifiers, even some residential ice machines, and packaged terminal air conditioning. Split systems can never be included in type 1. Even if there's only a pound or two of refrigerant, it's still not type 1. Split systems will fall under type 2. Type 2, persons who maintain, service, repair, or dispose of appliances containing more than 5 pounds of refrigerants, or if the installation of such equipment requires refrigerant charging, must be certified as type 2 technicians. Type 2 certification does not include small appliances or motor vehicle air conditioning systems. It's important to understand refrigerant pressure of each certification category. This has changed. Type 2 certification includes medium pressure, high pressure, and very high pressure appliances. If the system requires refrigerant line connections or charged in the field, even if it's less than 5 pounds, the technician must be certified as type 2. High pressure refrigerants have a pressure between 155 and 340 psig at a liquid phase temperature of 104 degrees. Medium pressure refrigerants have a pressure between 30 psig and 155 psig at a liquid phase temperature of 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Type 3, persons who maintain, service, repair, or dispose of low pressure appliances such as centrifugals and chillers must be certified as type 3. Technicians, low pressure appliances operate with refrigerant pressures of 30 psig or lower at a liquid phase temperature of 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Universal, persons who maintain, service, or repair both low and high pressure equipment, medium pressure, as well as small appliances must be certified as a universal technician. This simply means you have passed the core in all 3 levels, type 1, 2, and 3. The test contains 4 sections, core, and sections 1, 2, and 3. Each section contains 25 questions, multiple choice. A technician must achieve a passing score of 70% in each group or section in which they are trying to be certified. For example, a technician seeking universal certification must achieve a minimum score of 70% or 18 out of 25 correct on each section of the test. If a technician fails one or more of the sections, they may retake the failed sections without retaking the sections in which they earned a passing score. In the meantime, the technician will be certified in the types for which they have received a passing score. There is one exception to the rule. A technician must achieve a passing score on the core plus any one type to receive any certification at all. Federal regulations require that this exam be conducted as closed book by an authorized test administrator, you the proctors. The only outside material allowed during the test are pressure temperature chart, blank scratch of paper, and a calculator. Again, cell phones or electronic devices are not allowed in the testing area and cannot be used as calculators. Use of any electronic communication devices or attempts to copy, distribute, post publicly, share photos of exam questions, etc., may result in revocation of certification and will be reported to the EPA. Certain personal information is required on the exam. Exam participants should be prepared to provide pictured ID, social security number is used in the Esco database, but are not placed on a certification card. Home mailing address, this is important. Make sure, proctors, you get the mailing address, that they put this on their little bubble sheet. The mailing address is extremely important because sometimes the home address and mailing address are different. So we need to know where to mail their certificates to. Make sure y'all let them know that how important this is to put the right mailing address, or they won't receive their certifications. They'll get kicked back. Date of birth, phone number, email address. All these things should be provided to the proctor before the test begins. As required, all examination participants will be included in an online registry lookup by name, city, and state, as well as certification achieved. No personal information will be included in the public registry. Technicians will be able to opt out of this registry by logging into the Esco website at www.escogroup.org or by contacting one of our customer service members at 1-800-726-9696. Exam participants should carefully study the core and the sections related to the types of certifications which they are seeking to achieve a passing score. Free EPA practice exams can be found online at www.escogroup.org. Practice exams are provided to give exam candidates a sample of the type of questions they can expect to encounter on the exam and are not intended to be a sole study source. We will now start answering your questions.